What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gershwin.
And today we're not listening to country music because today it's all about For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. But question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. The WAAAGH was too much for me and it hurt my throat.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah.
Clinton Alfonso says, if you guys were transferred to the 40K universe, but you had to choose a regular human character to be born as, who would you pick? Some rich kid living in the upper spires of a hive? A planetary governor? An adeptus arbites? A thrall who would help the Sisters of Battle put their armor on?
Oh.
A companion on a pleasure world? A shipmaster in the Imperial Navy? A lord on a feudal world? A noble belonging to one of the knight families? And why? Keep up the great work.
So many options.
There are, yeah.
I think I always go to the same one, though. I'm not going
rogue?
to. Yeah. I'm
Rogue
not going
trader?
to today, yeah. If you check out, I think we've had another Greater Wall where we kind of go in depth as to why being a rogue trader would be so awesome. But I'll sidestep that one right now.
Sidestep. A two-step.
I think for me, this is a tough one.
Yeah, because obviously, so depending on the person you want to be is going to change the impact of how that plays out.
Yeah. I would want to be a navigator.
Yeah, navigators are really cool. They're mutants, though, but they're still humans.
Right.
We learned that by watching the 90s X-Men cartoon.
Exactly, yes. Basically, I am, what's his name? Not Cerebro. Professor Xavier.
Professor X.
Yeah. But I think like the thing that, because I'm going to create a horrible realities of being a navigator. You are mutant in the sense that you have a third eye. Obviously, they can peer into the warp, and you can do all this kind of stuff. But there's also a lot of inbreeding, so you're born kind of like, you know, the just normal inbreeding nastiness. So like fingers or digits are off. Many of them, their skin is kind of peeling off.
Yeah.
And then you have like warp mutations that are just running through the entire family. Not to mention that, like, if you check out our 40 facts and lore on the Patriarch, I forget what it's called, but the leader of the Navigators, if you are part of that Navigator house, good for you. You have like awesome like connection to the warp. But if you're not, your connection to the warp is kind of spotty.
Yeah, it's iffy at best.
Yeah. So there's a lot of negative things, but I think also the power of just being like, I'm a navigator.
Patternova.
Patternova, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, that is a really good one. Because, I mean, you're literally almost like the most sought-after, well-protected people in the galaxy, bar being a mutant. Because if you look at all the other mutants out there, like the Ratlings? Snotlings are orc thingies.
Yeah.
Look at like the furries, the beastmen, like those guys are treated like crap. Yeah, so being a mutant and a navigator, you're really, really lucky. But I think I would go more basic, and I'd probably just be a human Guevesa for the Tau.
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah, because not only are you exempt from the horrible realities of being a person on an imperial world, be it a pleasure planet, like an agri world, working on a forge, on a spire, or a hive world, those all suck, no matter how good they sound.
Yeah.
But this, you're at least, I mean, it kind of does suck. You're thrown out in the front lines, but at least you're part of a collective where everything anybody does is for the betterment of the whole. So there's no, oh, am I going to be able to eat tonight? No, you've got your rations. Am I going to have somewhere to live? You've got your own government provided housing. So,
and I don't really think that like Guevesa are necessarily cannon fodder all the time.
Not all the time, but
yeah,
like usually when you see it, there are that, because they're trying to show like the whole aspect of like the Imperium saying, no, don't be this.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're gonna go in the front lines and you're gonna die, but that's not necessarily the case.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I think you would explore more of the world and have a better understanding of what the galaxy is through the greater good instead of the imperial, like, you know, put your head down and work.
Because most of the time they don't even know there's a grander scape of like Xenos and the warp and all that.
Yeah. I think it's really funny that like this game was created obviously in the UK, but is the hive world mentality and like that, like working in manufacturums, that's speaking to like the
capitalistic societies of
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah, where like they don't really care about, because I saw a TikTok that was saying like, why don't more people die when there's hurricanes in Cuba? And it's like, well, because Cuba actually goes door to door, picks everybody up, and then sends them to government facilities to like hold down while the storm hits.
I don't know why, but I just pictured like Cuba as like the place the earth like rises and picks you up.
Yeah, just coming in.
Yeah.
But and then here it's kind of everybody's for themselves.
Pretty much.
And it's
yeah.
like, well, there's a hurricane coming. I don't want to leave. Okay. Bye.
Next thing you know, you're on your roof.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of weird because it's like, yes, you have the freedom taken away from you as a Guevesa, but at the same time, you won't die and you won't live a shitty life.
Yeah.
If something bad happens, which something bad always happens.
Generally speaking, because you could be a Cuevesa and get like abducted by the Dark Eldar and tortured for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but in that situation, if you were an imperial citizen, the same would happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. But I mean, the other options you guys gave are pretty good, like being a companion in a pleasure world.
Yeah.
It'll be great for like the first week. And then you're just going to work again.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
butt starts hurting. You start walking weird.
Mm-hmm.
Being a companion does not sound fun anymore
Right.
when the your patron is wearing Terminator armor.
That's true.
Because
and
Inquisitors wear Terminator
Yeah,
armor.
they do. Well, some of them. Some
Yeah.
don't. Some have regular power armor. It always is interesting to me how like intricate and different the power armor looks on a regular Inquisitor than on a Space Marine.
Yeah.
Because it's very like embellished and like personalized.
Mhm.
I like that. Good question though.
Next one.
This one is by First Level Druid. If a big contributing factor to Horus's fall is the belief that the completion of the Crusade, the Astartes and Primarchs would be cast aside for bureaucracy and administration, and heroes would be cast aside, would the course of the Horus heresy change or happen at all if Horus was made aware of this and shown the future Tyranid threat and the likely need for heroes and defenders?
We say that again?
So basically, I think what he's saying is the Emperor's goal was always to discard the Space Marines and the Primarchs. They were tools to achieve a certain utopia for humanity. So he's saying if Horus, being the War Master and in control of all this military might, if he knew and understood that they were all going to die or get cast aside anyway, would the heresy still happen? Would they still fight for the Emperor and all that?
Oh, eventually, yes. I do think that Horus would have been like, no, let's defend our legion. But it wouldn't be, like, the Horus heresy wouldn't be to the extent that it was, I guess. Because there was chaos power. Because it's like, one is just, like, protecting, basically, my children. Like, as a Primarch, these are my warriors. These are my charge. And then in the Horus heresy, it's like, these are my warriors. These are my charge. Plus the fact that the Chaos Gods are going to give me buffs for accepting. So I think it would have happened, just not to the same scale as the Horus heresy.
Do you think more would have gone traitor instead of loyalist if they knew that the Emperor was going to kill him off anyway?
Space Marines maybe, but not the rest.
Yeah.
Like why would Titan legions care? Why would the Adeptus Mechanicus care?
Mm-hmm.
When I mean they kind of understood that they're a means to an end.
Right.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's like, the only way I could see it happening is like, oh, if the Emperor was going to get rid of them, when is he going to think about getting rid of us?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they would have said, hey, the Emperor knows best.
Yeah, and then just off themselves.
Yeah.
This question comes from Tommy Falcon. Are the Necrons able to replicate the technology that turned them from Necron tier into Necrons? Would the Mechanicus ever consider trying this if they could get their hands on that tech? No, I don't think they have those. What is it called? The furnace something?
Yeah, like something chambers, furnace.
Yeah. And the reason for this is they were powered by the Catan.
Mm-hmm.
And the Catan are sharded.
Yeah. It's like, oh, don't touch them.
Yeah.
That one ate frijoles.
Yeah. Next question.
This one is by Puby SB, or maybe Puppy. Pregunta. What would happen if a Tyranid zoanthrope tried to psychically brain suck a Sister of Silence?
I would watch it.
And then they said, P.S. Talking about brain suck. If Bridget B showed up and told you she was La Chupadora, what would you say? Saludos, broskis.
Saludos. Yeah, that could happen. They can both get down. Both Bridget B and what did you say? A zoanthrope? Yeah, a zoanthrope can suck a sister.
Well, a sister of silence, not a sister of battle.
As long as there's consent, and you can give consent without verbal consent, you could do that.
But the thing is, they are kind of nullifying the psychic stuff, so it won't be a psychic brain suck, just a regular brain suck.
Yeah, even though remember that, like a sister of silence,
nullifies.
It nullifies, but it doesn't completely like eradicate it. So like, let's say if a psychic, like, what is it called? The fire that they send out, the psychic,
like warp flame.
Yeah, if warp flame came at a sister of silence, like it doesn't just turn into smoke. Like it would still hit them because there's still some type of like energy being released. They wouldn't get as damaged as the next guy, which is why you see in the rules for Sisters of Silence is that I think they get a buff to their save, or they get like some type of thing to like psychic abilities.
Right, it's easier to deny the witch.
Yeah, there you go.
They can still go off and kill him.
Right, yeah.
Right. I can still smite a Sister of Silence to death, but it's just harder.
Right. So, same situation. The zoanthrope can suck. They would just have to suck a little bit more
right.
and for a little bit longer.
Yeah, which some people are okay with that.
Yeah.
Other people, they got things to do, man. And time is money.
Yeah. Sisters of Silence are definitely like that.
Yeah. This next one is by Matthias Brunil. It's talking about the new creation of a chaos god. And he says, well, what about loyalty or faith? Nobody said it needed to be a bad emotion, and loyalty and faith is present in about everything in a form or another. Even Zeech has a form of loyalty to their own goal, if not God.
So I think the reason loyalty and faith aren't God is because of the fact that like that emotion is not as primal of an emotion. When you think of animals in the wild, like when you think of animals that are loyal, you think of like dolphins, killer whales, dogs, stuff like that.
Wolves.
But all that happened like later in the evolutionary like timeline. If you look at like the things that have been around forever, so sharks, alligators.
If you think about dinosaurs, they were dinosaurs in herds, and I feel like there's some type of loyalty in that.
Yeah, yeah. Like a herd for protection, though, in terms of like zebras and stuff like that. But even like if we look at the most primal creatures, I feel like it was mostly dog eat dog kind of thing.
Yeah, for the most part.
And also they feed into the four chaos gods. Loyalty, kind of like honor, with corn. Loyalty or the arrangement between two parties is kind of Zinchian. I don't know if you could tie that into like desire, but like I feel you can, just because relationships are loyalty based. There's a desire to have somebody with you forever.
Right.
I don't know how you tie it to Nurgle.
Loyal to spreading the pox.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the only one that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But that's how I've always seen good emotions not being manifested into like chaos gods, is because they're not that primal. They're not primal, and they're not. They're just like a chocolate cake shake.
You gotta suck hard.
Meant to be shared.
Yeah. But I wonder how you guys would react if there was a new god of like a positive emotion. God of friendship.
Yeah. Even though we had a god of rebirth, that's a positive emotion. And what did you guys do? Not buy it.
Yeah. Sorry, Iniad.
Next question comes from Chicken Waffles. What are the effects of the Halo devices on the Xeno races, such as the Eldar or the Orcs? Would it have the same effect if it had on humans, or would it be even more terrifying? What are Halo devices again?
So my Halo knowledge is very limited because I played Halo 1, 2, and 3 such a long time ago. Halo 2 split screen was where it's at. I only just beat the campaign just to say I beat it. But basically, if I remember correctly, the Halo rings are massive rings in the galaxy that the Forerunners, which was basically like the old ones, built a long time ago to destroy all sentient life and basically start anew. So it was basically like an apocalyptic thing that killed everything to make Oh no, but it also had fragments of all living things is like chromosomes or biology or something like that. So if they wanted to, they can go back and recreate a certain species.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm right. Could be wrong.
So, yeah, if that was the case, then if it eradicates everything, then it eradicates everything.
But I think it was everything like biological. So I think like the Necrons would still be okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much it, right? Because everything else is like still have some biology or biomass in it.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Men of Iron.
If there isn't a Halo device in 40K, I feel like there is. I feel like, isn't it like a Halo ring that like Inquisitors wear or something like that? I can't remember. Okay. We'll go with that.
This one's by Danny James. Any tips on creating a Chaos Renegade chapter?
Yeah. Same kind of situation as like homebrewing your Space Marine chapter. The first thing you need to do is decide whether you want to focus on the lore or the tabletop, like what they're good at now in the lore. Because that's going to push you towards like which direction to focus on. If you're more interested in like their battlefield or their combat doctrines, then look at all the different combat doctrines for the Space Marines. Decide which, or for the Chaos Space Marines, and decide which faction you want to kind of go with. And then if you want to focus on the lore, then just watch the video that I created, the 40 faction lore on the homebrew Space Marines. You have to fit your lore into the timeline of 40K.
Right.
So pick your Primarch. I had a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, pick your Primarch. Pick if you want to be shooty, assault, psychic. Also pick the type of like feel of it. Like let's say you want to have a lot of demon engines, then obviously you don't want to play a followers of Be'lakor because you can't have demon engines. If you want to play a lot of demon princes, same thing. Don't choose that one. So you really have to do your research and make sure that the feel, the flavor, everything is good before you actually go out and buy units.
Yeah, and also I would say that like a big thing with Chaos Space Marines is like you have a huge difference between Plague Marines and Noise Marines and Coronet Berserkers. So look at those lines, the model lines, and decide like, do I want my miniatures to look like Nurgle or Plague Marines? Do I want them to look like what are they called, Rubric Marines? Because those aesthetics are super, super strong, and it's really hard to like navigate around it if you're homebrewing.
Right.
You're better off almost just picking up like regular Space Marines and kit bashing them to be chaotic, and you get to make up the mutations.
Right.
Yeah.
There are various rules and subsets under multiple things. So it's the same thing if you want to play a psychic heavy army, and you don't have to play the Thousand Suns. You can just get the regular Chaos Space Marine book, and there are Renegade chapters that do good in that type of psychic battle type. So just because you want to play Nurgle and defensive, maybe the Iron Warriors do the same thing and give you a bigger pool to play around with.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing to kind of keep of note is if you're focusing on something that's good on the tabletop now, that could always change. Because the meta always evolves. If you want to be super close combat-y, because you see a bunch of corn lists winning tournaments, that's going to change. Because obviously GW doesn't want you to keep buying the same thing. Say when the 9th edition Codex for Chaos drops, now the new thing goes away from like shooty or close combat-y to psychic, then it's a whole, like you got to change your whole army.
Right, yep.
If you want it to do good. So keep that in mind.
And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah. This has been The Sound Alchemist.
Gershwin.
And we're out.
Oh, I used to put my freedom first, and then